Hello and welcome to another episode on Sport is for the People. Today I'm joined with Jack. He's not drinking tonight because he got too pissed last night. Franz from Club 27. Hi, Franz. Hello, big fella. Jay. All right. And Dan.
Hi, guys.
Hey. All right, today we're going to be discussing Arsenal's humiliation against Man City with a 3-0 loss. Wasn't a great performance. I'll go to Jack first for your thoughts.
It was bloody shite, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. It wasn't great.
But I mean, yeah, it was a bit of a poor game. I think realistically, I knew we weren't going to win. And as soon as they did that lineup, I was like, we're going to get battered. So I don't know. There's not a lot really to speak about it. I mean, I'm hoping that it was a tactical decision to rest some players for more winnable games. But yeah, I think the only worry for me was the fitness of the players. There are a lot of players who didn't look like they were up for it. And obviously we had 2 injuries in 20 minutes, so that wasn't exactly the best thing on the planet. So we've only got 2 more centre-backs left. Mm-hmm. And they're not the best centre-backs we have, but...
Holding,
yeah. But yeah, so there's nothing really positive to speak about the game. I mean, Leno had a very good game, but then it's depressing when every single game Leno has to have a really good game just for us to be in with a sniff. Apart from that, I think Kieran Tierney was probably the only other player that played semi-well. Danny Ceballos played all right, but he looked more like a player who was trying to impress his mother club as opposed to actually trying to play well for the team. So, I mean, you know, it's a write-off this game, and you just got to look to Brighton and see whether or not we'll play any different.
Yeah, you got to hope that we up our game against Brighton. Like you said, potentially it was a tactical reason to drop a few players and just play a lot of youth players. Dan, what did you think of the game?
It was dreadful, really. I mean, the first 15, 20 minutes and all, I didn't think we were actually that bad, to be honest. I thought passing around and everything, I know we were getting like the 2 injuries and all that, but I thought we didn't start that bad. And then like, calamity, basically. I mean, if it wasn't for Leno last night, it could have been about 6-0. I mean, when I saw the starting lineup before the match, I mean, there was no Pepe, there was no Lacazette, Martinelli. I mean, how can Eddie Nketiah get ahead of Martinelli, who for me, against Chelsea, for instance, was absolutely phenomenal? Lacazette, no offence, is better than Nketiah. The team selection for me was just atrocious. And then obviously when David Luiz came on, it was literally just, yeah. If he signs that contract extension, then I'm going to give up in life because we need about 3 centre-backs. None of our centre-backs can actually defend. And I was just livid. I generally thought, like, we could have got a good result last night. There was no pressure on us, nothing, no crowd. We could have took it to our advantage, but we just folded like we do against big teams. And Aubameyang, for me, did he even touch the ball last night?
No, I don't think he had a shot.
For me, he seemed to me like he wanted to leave the club after that performance. For me, he just wanted to get out of that club. He didn't seem happy at all. I mean, Bellerin, I don't know what's happened to him since like last couple of years. He's just gone downhill. Mustafi, wow, he's just terrible. Tierney was okay. Ceballos for me just didn't turn up at all. Saka, I ain't going to criticise him because he's been really good for us recently. And I don't understand why Lacazette's not starting. I know he hasn't been brilliant recently, but for me, he is a good striker. And he plays well with Aubameyang. And you've got Nketiah, for me. You might disagree, but I don't think he's actually that good, Nketiah. I really don't think he's that good. But it's up to you guys what you think, but I don't personally think Nketiah's that good.
All doom and gloom from you then, Dan.
Yeah, it is from me.
Well, I could see why you were playing Nketiah potentially if Lacazette's moving on this summer. Try and get him some minutes. Maybe he knows that Lacazette wants to go. Jay, what about you, mate?
Got to laugh at him, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it's one of those, like, we knew we weren't going to win. The only real positive is that football is back. Something that fucking stops the boring, mundane forward life that we've had to live for like the last 3 months now. So it's something to look forward to. It's something to watch. It's just a break for 90 minutes, even if it is incredibly depressing. But there's not really much to say. Leno was incredible last night. Like, shy of the first goal, which there's nothing you can really do about that.
No.
There's literally nothing. Rest of the team, I have them like they did stuff. I do agree with the comments about Aubameyang. To be honest, he got on the ball once or twice and didn't have a clue what he was doing. One shot he did get off, he just absolutely skied it. And just like he really didn't care. He didn't want to run. No hope with anything. I agree with the whole comments of like some of the youth players who started specific, but I don't know. There must be a reason behind why Arteta picked them.
Well, yeah, I'm sure we'll move on to Mesut Ozil not being in the 20-man squad whatsoever. I'm sure we'll have a chat about that. Franz, are you alive? Are you watching? What are you doing? You're cooking, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm cooking, but listening to you geezers and your comments.
Thanks,
I
Franz.
was an old school follower of the mighty Arsenal. We are back in the dark ages, and I'm not too sure what we're going to need to do to get ourselves back to even contend with, a third and a fourth place. Every now and again, one player at the Arsenal will jump out and go, "Wow, he's had a fantastic day." Blah blah blah. But the majority of them are ordinary. And that is proven by where we are in the position of the league, and I think it's going to be that until we suddenly make dramatic changes, and it could be right at the top, not just with the players. That fella's got one way ticket out of there. He's got one eye on the door. So he has to copy his dollar bills and go, anyway, I'll see you later, boys. And that's it. That's what it appears to be. Can we go back to the youth? Is there youth in the thing that want to play with a little bit of passion? And even though that you lose, you go, you know what? At least it excited you. For you, for the young ones, and for the old supporters that are out there, they go, hold on a minute. That went great, but at least they feel like they want to play for the house and not play for a monthly paycheck.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like Chelsea are doing at the moment. Obviously, they've just bought a couple of players, but they've been using youth a lot this year. They've not been as good as Chelsea have been previously, but you can see they're fighting because their youth players are dedicated to the club.
100%.
Yeah, go on, Dan.
When you're struggling, right, what do you need? You need your leaders to step up.
Who's the leader?
Where can you see a leader in that team?
100%.
Yeah, Mesut Ozil.
Think about the past. You asked the older days where you had, like Vieira, you had Campbell, you had Burkham, you had Petit, back then Adams. What they would have done is they would have shouted at them, told them to calm down and say, we're still in this. This current team, there's nothing. Aubameyang's not a leader. He's a great goal scorer. He's not a leader. Where else? The last time we had a decent enough leader was Vieira/Omri. Since then, Marlon, crap. Mertesacker, crap. Koscielny, crap. There's been nothing. There is
I'd like to say Arteta.
Arteta is a leader. He's not a leader.
No, he's a good club captain. And Fabregas, I'd say. I did like Fabregas as captain. Fabregas was a good captain.
I don't want to bring his name up, but when you look at some of the things, you saw him shouting at people constantly. Van Persie, led by example, played well.
Yeah, Van Persie was a decent captain, to be fair.
And then became an absolute fucking mistake.
So we'll talk about the Pepe not getting off the bench, Martinelli not getting off the bench, and more importantly, Mesut Ozil not even being in the 20-man squad for tactical reasons. Jack, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, when I saw that Pepe wasn't starting, that kind of worried me a little bit. I mean, the only thing I can think of is he's got a separate 11, which is going to start, which theoretically was going to start instead of the one we had obviously yesterday. I mean, obviously, like Kolasinac didn't play. Kolasinac is fit, so you could potentially see him against Brighton. Martinelli, I think, will start against Brighton. Pepe, I think, will start against Brighton. Lacazette can honestly fuck off. I thought behind, if you ignore David Luiz, I generally thought he was the worst player to play yesterday, and he was only on the pitch for 10 minutes. He didn't run. I don't think at any point I saw him run. He just walks around, waltzes around. I think a few times he got put in behind, and it was just like some timid cutback. It like didn't even beat a defender. I don't understand what his what his mindset at the club is. He obviously doesn't want to be there anymore. He got dropped for Nketiah and he's thrown a hissing fit. Is basically what's happened. I mean,
you see the constant sort of like back heels that never come off.
Yeah,
he's trying to be Firmino. Trying to be Firmino, but he's not.
It's that kind of like, I don't understand really like what's happened. He's been like this for most of the season though. Like, don't get me wrong, when he turns it on, he is a very good player, but I can't remember the last time he turns it on. I can't remember the last time he scored.
And Jack,
he did score 3 in 3 before the break. Go on, Dan.
So he's playing against a 19-year-old centre-back as well, who not been used to the Premier League yet. Great chance to have a go at him. There was no one out there going for him.
No, I mean, like, the biggest threat to Garcia was Edison.
Literally.
You know, it's one of those things where, like, I truly hope he just sent players out for the experience, because the midfield was unbalanced and the midfield was always going to struggle. You know, there was no defensive midfielder in that section. You know, you're now asking Xhaka to do what Wenger used to ask him like 3 seasons ago, and Xhaka can barely turn. I mean, Xhaka can't even run anymore. I don't know. I mean, I think Mesut will start. I'm guessing he didn't play Mesut because he didn't think Mesut fitted into that what he wanted. He put in a midfield that, what I'm guessing he was hoping for was they were just going to run around a lot. Yeah, you look at Willock. Willock's a player who covers a lot of distance, as is Guendouzi. I mean, they're not the best midfielders we've got. So what I'm imagining is when we play Brighton, he'll do that classic Arsenal thing where now we'll play Mesut Ozil because we hope to dominate the game. Who plays in that midfield with him is a bit of a worry, because I don't know where Torreira is. Is Torreira injured?
Injured. I believe he's injured again.
So, I mean, I don't know whether or not he starts Maitland-Niles in midfield and Ceballos in midfield. But when, once again, there's no defensive kind of linchpin in that team. So, I mean, I expect the front three against Brighton will be Martinelli, Pepe, and Lacazette. Sorry, and Aubameyang. And I imagine the only defensive changes he'll make will be Holding coming in for Mari. But I don't know personally. I think without him actually telling anyone why, it's kind of, he's made a few tactical decisions which now have almost backfired and kind of gone up in his face. The idea for them they got a plane to Manchester 3 hours before kickoff.
Yeah, I saw that. Very strange.
But that was his decision.
What people may not understand is what's going on in the back. For all we know, there have been petulance, and which will make it impossible for the manager to play that individual, because for whatever reason he has performed in a way outside the training ground and in a personal way in the changing room, where you would go, there's no way this person can play today. It will be worse than whatever you guys have seen yesterday. Tactically, maybe being made by the fact of how that individual comes into the club right then. Forget about if he gets into the changing room. puts on his shorts and his boots, you could see, the management can see, Christ almighty, where is this fella? And sticking him on the pitch will be like having 8 men on there rather than at least 11 attempting to have a go.
The problem is, though,
we are not dealing with the likes. Unfortunately, we all keep going back, as your pops will say, Keaton, Tony Adams and Patrick Vieira, for whatever they've got upstairs in their brains. We're not dealing with them people no more. We're dealing with a different generation, and that will reflect on the pitch. And when I'm feeling good, boom, I'll beat anybody. And when I ain't feeling too good today, I don't give a shit one way or the other. I still pick up my change. The Arsenal, yeah, it ain't a bad club. You would never see that from Bergkamp or Merson or all them people. No. This is their life. It's not their life no more.
It's a job.
And that's what we all better start realising it. And that is at the moment. Where are we going to go from here?
Who knows?
We're going to be reasonably average until something dramatically changes. And that's
the problem is, though,
looking in.
The problem with the club, though, is there's no transparency. No one tells you why they're making these decisions. And you look at other clubs, you know, like if Mesut Ozil can't play, just say why he can't play. If he's not fully fit, just say he's not fully fit. If he's picked up an injury, he's picked up an injury.
That's the real reason. In the event, that he's been petulant and all sorts, and there's been a knuckle on the training ground. We ain't going to put that out to the masses. We go, Ozil's not very well today because one of his bollocks fell out of his ball bag. But so he's not playing. Right, so who have we got? We've got Arsene Brown and the full skin. It's a great name, but is he going to be any good? By the way that he laced up his boots the other day, no.
The problem is,
we ain't going to get told what's going on in the club. Why would we?
Yes.
The day Arsenal went downhill was when David Dean left our club. That's when it went downhill.
Yeah, it's been going downhill from there for a long time.
He got in and he absolutely destroyed this football club. When David Dean was there, Wenger did the tactical side and David Dean did all his transfers for him and everything. And that is why we were successful in Wenger's good 10-year period. After that, when David Dean left, signings went all over the place. You had all these crap people upstairs, and we were failing. And this is why.
Well, David Dean, his family were market traders, and when he bought that club for £250,000, they said, "What is it that you're doing? That's dead money." Whatever David Dean saw on the horizon, not many people did. So for sure, he didn't do it for the dollar bill.
No.
Because he put his testicles on the line. And while his family had a couple of quid, £250,000 back in the day, somebody may have looked at him and go, "Dave, you sure about this, bruv? If this goes queer, we're all in the shitter." But guess what? And these fellas are not. It's about the dollar.
Exactly. Absolutely.
End of. And, we need to go back. When you look at, Tony Adams and all those guys that come through with George Graham told them right from the Oski, this is how it goes. This is the deal with Rocky. And then Ian Wright coming in, who was a big arse signing, but he was a street boy from back in the day. And all he wants to do, it ain't about a dollar. He would have played for the Arsenal for nothing. He would have played for nothing, mate. Nothing. These fellas now, with the agent go, if he ain't getting £250,000, he's walking. No wonder he doesn't feel fucking great today. Maybe he's had his tax bill and go, you know what, I'm pissed off.
In all fairness, though, you did feel that with Arteta. Like when he first came in, you did feel that sort of like little ruthless edge. Where that's gone, I don't.
Well, hopefully he's a bit like, obviously I said on one of the other podcasts, he could be like pick up from Pep, what Pep did with Joe Hart. If you're not good enough, you're out. He didn't even give Joe Hart a chance, did he? So, you never know in the summer. I think you'll see how ruthless he is. See if he gets rid of Luiz, Mustafi, all the defenders.
We just clear up the Ozil situation. So like, the news was that he's not been included with the 20-man squad for the rest of the season. So he will not play this season.
Why?
Why? Yeah.
Why? So no, that's what I mean. So I had to pick a 20-man squad. He won't be in it.
You can get 25. I thought, isn't it? Is it 25?
Well, I don't know. He's not been put into it, which is. But at the same time, looking at that, bit sad. I mean, I was like very happy when he came in. When you look at like relatively now, looking back at it, you look at how much we actually paid him and what we got those first couple of seasons. Good. I haven't a clue what's happened to the guy in the last few years.
As soon as he signed that new contract, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, not even before then, really.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the deal. Check this out. When we look at all what we see as the big five, the big six, ooh, look at these guys. Man United, with all due respect, since the old days, have been in nowhere near it as good. If you look at the Chelsea, God bless them, they've changed managers. Yeah, they've had a little bit more success than us. But the writing is on the wall for these guys as well and go, ooh, we ain't punching it like the days of Drogba. We ain't punching it as the days of with the Man United and Rooney and Andy Cole. It would appear that maybe for a lot of us, those days that we'll all keep banging on about, we'll look at clubs now that have just been sneaking up on it very, very slowly, sneaking up, doing the bits and pieces.
Leicester and Wolves.
In the right place and not taking it out and taking it overseas, putting it back into the community and putting it back in. And maybe the mighty Arsenal, as we was then, were slightly blinded by the fact, look at us, we're so fantastic. Tottenham will be the same. You don't think that when you lash out £1 billion for a new stadium, someone's paying for that and it can come out of the squad.
Yeah.
Because the clubs are chasing money. We want glory because we're ordinary Joe. Ordinary Joe on the streets wants glory. The big conglomerates want dollar.
Yeah, I totally agree. The thing with Chelsea is they're now, Abramovich is pumping a load of money in this summer. Man U have always got money. Arsenal aren't the size of a club Man U is. Man U have got the resources to go again. Next year, if they want to spend 250 million in the summer, they can. We can't spend that kind of money. Chelsea and Man U can.
But doesn't guarantee you anything. Well, it guarantees you that you spend a load of money, and then it's not the £250 million. And from a business point of view, when I pay for that fella there, and he's on a contract of £10 million signed on 5, put that on top, plus the others. No, it doesn't come with £250 million. That's just the dangler.
Yeah.
That don't mean to say this fella is going to be able to smash it out in the Premier League as we know it. When it's pissing down with rain and it ain't that great, and you rock up and go, you know what? I don't fancy it today, babe.
But the problem is,
the argument of buying smart, though, doesn't it? I mean, when you look like you always take the piss out of Wenger for buying sort of like Park, Santos, Nielsen, a shower of shit, like most of them. But there were quite a few that he did. You look at the model that Liverpool or pick your man, buy him, don't get much more.
Yeah, it's buying smart. Like Timo Werner, for instance, the Chelsea deal that's just come by. It's £50 million, yes, but it looks very smart business. Because if he was on a 3-year contract, he'd probably be worth £120 million. So as soon as they sign him up, he's worth that. Yeah, go on, Dan.
You go on about the money and all that, but last night I saw on Arsenal side that I saw players that didn't give a shit to me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And that's what Franz was saying earlier about maybe giving the youth
like
a
you
chance.
said, back in the day, people like Adams, Wright, Omri, they would fight for that shirt.
No.
Last night, I mean, like you say about Bangman, his attitude, I love the man, but his attitude stunk last night, and he's going to be club captain.
Yeah.
It's a different age, it's got to be said. Like,
Leno, fair play to Leno. He actually gave his ass off last night. He went for it.
He had no bloody choice.
Yeah, I know. He actually was deserved his wage this week, I tell you, because I think the fans went to that match. They deserve their money back for that ticket because they would have been embarrassed by that if they were there. Because it was a joke last night.
It was a tough one to take last night.
The problem I have is how this is allowed, though, to get like this. You're saying, like, you can't financially compete. I mean, Arsenal make £4 million every single game on just ticket sales. So you think just for your league, you've got like £38 million a year, which is coming on ticket sales. Then you add on like your 100 million on football shirts, because, you know, let's face it, everyone always buys football shirts. You see some crazy yellow Bruges banana shirt, you're going to buy it, and they're what, 60 quid? But the thing is, it's like, where is all this money coming from? And then you've got, you know, Raul coming out and being like, yeah, well, we're going to deal on freebies and swaps. Like, how the fuck does it actually get to that point that you go, right, here's one of the most expensive tickets in the world for a match game.
Funny thing
You
is,
make all of this money and you go, no, you can't afford to spend 30 million on a player. We'll do it in 5 years installments.
Kronke's brand in America, isn't it? Who's he also?
LA Rams.
Yeah, have you seen how much money he actually spends for them?
£5 billion stadium.
Ridiculous, and that is a piss take. You
Yeah,
bought a football club.
Different world over there, though. It's got to be said. Like the contracts that some of those players are on are ridiculous.
Yeah, but the
Just
problem
American
is,
hype with
club, you should
American
be
inflation
doing.
and just all over the world.
yeah, but the
The
problem I
thing
have with him
with
is-
these guys is we haven't got David D no more that supports the Arsenal.
Yeah.
And then we'll go to Hartlepool and get soaked to the skin to watch the mighty Arsenal. You haven't got that mentality no more in the club, as I'm sure lots of other clubs, because it is driven by the dollar. Now, even back in the day, David Dean is a man of business, etc., etc. And Jack turned and said, "Shit, man, where's all this money going? The 4 million quid being generated there, and blah 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 there. Where you know you go like ka-ching, 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 but it's almost like a government. You go, where's all that dough going? And they go, Funny you should mention that, Jack.
But the thing is, it's like Yuri was an Arsenal fan, Yuri Ismanov, and Yuri offered to buy out the club, and Stan was like, nah. He offered him more money than what his shares were worth, and Stan was just like, nah, right about the money.
They may not like each other, so it won't be about the dough, Jack. If you and I have got £100 each in our pocket, and I go, I'll tell you what I do, Jack. I'll tell you what I do. I go, like, hey, you go, no, friend, stick it up your ass, because you can do.
But
It's about the personality, and you ain't never going to know. None of us are ever going to know when they could be punching each other's teeth out in the boardroom. We don't know, but we're down here talking about it. We're the ones who are sticking the money in and getting on the train and going down there and buying the merchandise and getting it online and coming down there because it's about the club, and you love it.
I think the thing is if you stop the gravy train, he would leave.
It's very hard to do that.
I don't know. Finishing 10th this year might do it.
I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, you just go, you know, he chucks out 3 kits and you go, actually, do you know what? I'm happy with the one I bought like 3 years ago. I'm not going to buy it. And when
good.
Exactly. Like the thing is I think if you stop that gravy train, he wouldn't want to be at that club anymore because he doesn't care. How many games does he go to a year?
None.
Doesn't he?
Well,
His son goes to quite a few.
Yeah.
And you've also got to think, like, in recent years, the last 2 years, we have seen FTC to the Emirates. Never saw that before. Maybe in the Cup game, but not much.
Yeah, and I think it is one of those things where I think the fans as a collective need to not take control of the club because you're never going to do that, but maybe just if you did like Blackpool did. Blackpool boycotted the club and he left. They hated their owner, they boycotted the club and they left. And now Blackpool have been bought up by someone else and they're doing a bit better than what they were. But the thing is if fans just went one game and all of your fans just didn't turn up for one game. You know, instead of having 60,000 people in a stadium, you've got no one. He would be like, something's going wrong here. And all of a sudden, your £4 million suddenly turns into nothing. And he goes, all right,
But
maybe we should pump some money back in.
When you look at the fact that people have already spent, like, what is it, like, what is the price now?
£1,000, like the minimum for a season ticket.
There you go. So about 1,200 quid for a season. If you paid that much, you're bloody go into the game.
No, I get that, but then at the same time, like,
if you've paid that much money for your season ticket, you should care enough about the club to maybe take the hit one game.
yeah, just go one.
Yeah.
I'm not saying for a season no one turns up to the Emirates. But
Well,
just
it
for
wouldn't
one
matter,
game.
would it? Really, because you've already paid your money. They've got it.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
And if you look at what happened last night, there was no one there. We still lost.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but there was no one there because you didn't have a choice.
But exactly.
We've got the richest man in Africa wants to buy us. Either, can't remember his name, and I probably can't pronounce it.
Yeah, the richest man in Africa.
Yeah,
But you know what? You've got to ask him. You've got to ask yourself why.
because he's an Arsenal fan. He said he's an Arsenal fan.
Okay, and so now you're an Arsenal. Ask him about the history of Arsenal and see if he knows anything about it. Because if he doesn't know anything about it, you have to ask him again, why are you doing this, bruv?
In all fairness, he's tried to buy the club for like the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Does he know anything about Highbury? Did he know anything about Highbury? Does he know anything about this? Will we all clap our hands and go, oh, we'll get rid of that fella, and we get rid of, and we've got this fella. Oh no, he's this and he's that. Check this out. Give yourself 2 years. You go, Jesus Christ Almighty, because he may see it as a gravy train. And while you, Jack, ask, where's all that dollar gone? Hello.
Yeah, we're in it again.
Why can't you get the majority? Why can't you get the majority shares owned by the collective that are on the street, that come from Hartlepool, and the whole day out is 700 quid by the time they bought the ticket and got into an hotel and got on the train and had something to drink. That is commitment. Why can't that person who's purchased £150 for their shares so they can go, well, no, I'm not sure about Ozil getting another pay rise for X amount, and he's on £350,000 a week. I ain't sure about it. What is the fella doing?
You can't do that nowadays, Franz. Though I think that's a bit of a dream.
But they did it. One
German
did
idea
it.
The German idea, they do it. Yeah, in Bundesliga they do. That's a good idea. But I think in the
works.
Premier League you
Well,
can't
you look at the
do
case
that.
of Dortmund, Munich, even not Leipzig, but the fans are there. They're packed every week. You can still have a beer in the stands. People love it, and the football maybe not that like tip top, but it's still enjoyable, watchable, pretty fucking good.
I worked out. So we were looking at a away game once.
It's
I
cheaper.
worked out I could have got a flight to Leipzig, watched Leipzig versus Dortmund in the Bundesliga, got my flight back, maybe even had a motel, and it would have been cheaper than a base ticket at the Emirates.
Yeah.
There you go. What does that tell you? You already said it already, Jack. There's your answer to the question that you asked.
Yeah, I get that. And it's a reason why the German team, I fully believe it's the reason why the German team is better than the English team. It's because you look at all of the youth that play through that league, and you look at some of the players, most of the German team will play in the Bundesliga, barring Toni Kroos, who plays for Real Madrid. And no, actually, they all do. But you look at the likes of Kai Havertz. When was the last time an English player was hyped as Kai Havertz, apart from maybe Jadon Sancho?
Yeah, Rooney maybe.
But the thing is they're constantly chucking out those players. Goretzka is one of the highest touted midfielders in the game. You look at all of these players that just get pumped out from Germany, but there's a rule in there where you have to play those kind of players, where money doesn't buy everything. And you look at Arsenal, if you went to Arsenal and went, right, bust out some English talent, Arsenal's got loads of English talent. But the problem is at the moment, but the problem is you can't win the league with kids anymore.
No, it's tough.
So you're playing an uphill battle where even Tottenham are buying players that we're not. Tottenham went right in Ndombele. How much did he pay for him? What, 50 million?
61, I think.
61 million. Stefan Bergwijn cost them another like 45 million. And it's just like, how are Tottenham, who, as Fran said, bought a massive stadium, how are they being like, now let's still churn out the money?
Well,
Yeah, they haven't sold anyone either, have
the
they?
Champions League, like, they have been selling out grounds where they have been playing. They get like a little bit more seating in Wembley as well. So they're getting money because they've been doing well for the last few years. We've done nothing. But you've also got to look who's in charge there now. As soon as the transfer window's open, have a look at how much they give Mourinho.
Yeah, it's true. Because he'll want 200 million, won't he? Because he always likes to spend his money. Dan, what do you think about the club at the moment? Hierarchy?
Oh, it's terrible, Keaton. I mean, for me, Kroenke's ruined the club. As simple as that. Gazidis was another one. I hated him. Awful managing director. Didn't know nothing about football. And if you know nothing about football, you're not going to go up. It's as simple as that. You need to have some sort of interest in football, and there was no interest. If you got people like Abramovich and all that, they like football. They're interested. They want their club to do well. With us, Kronke, all he cares about is money in his pocket. He's buying something really nice for himself. It's like his son, Stan Kronke. I've heard apparently he's now the one like owning the club now in a way. Letting the son.
Yeah, Josh.
They really like Edu.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Is that Edu? Yeah. I mean, yeah, he was an Arsenal player, but he wasn't a great. I mean, he wasn't like you wouldn't look.
He was all right, but it wasn't much special. Like,
yeah, exactly.
A lot happened around him, but at the same time, nice to see someone there. Probably not the right person.
Yeah, but is Edu just a yes man who they're going to go, right, do this?
Like,
and he'll be like, yeah.
Anytime you see him doing like the sort of pointless interviews or the Arsenal throwback stuff, or he's bringing you about his shoulder, it does seem like you don't have a clue what you're doing, do you, man?
They're just saying.
I hope he does.
They're just trying to pick fans at the end of the day. And some fans, unfortunately, believe it. And then we got the realist fans that think, no, you're talking absolute garbage. And you just fed up with the situation we're in. I mean, I think it could be 5 to 10 years until Arsenal compete for the title again. It really could.
100%. 100%.
It really could. I mean, until Kronke gets out of that club, and I'm worried he's not going to be getting out of that club for 10, 15 years, we ain't going to compete.
That's a sort of like not sound like Arsenal TV. Arsenal fan TV.
Yeah, but they're not giving us the money.
What's the constructive thing that we can say or do or try to actually change this horrendous shit show?
Yeah, but like Fran said, the key thing today is the dollar. It's the money. If you're not giving the money, you ain't going to sign any players, and you're not going to compete for the title. It's just
and there's 3 of us in this window who have paid £60 for that shirt.
Yeah, exactly. It's not fair.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's not fair at all. That's what they keep. Kronke thinks about his own money.
I can't think for 1 minute. Here we are in the UK, and maybe my age is getting the better of me.
Definitely.
That we cannot produce in from the community, not just the community, but someone that we target from whatever it is, who's got the ability that you'd go like that. Jesus Christ, are you shitting me? And we get him in the club, but you educate him like this, with this, that, and make him watch Dennis Bergkamp and Ian Wright videos and Tony Adams and all the guys that were committed, and go, this is what you need to do. Okay, we're all jumping up and down now about Marcus Rashford, but that young man at 22 years old has got the greatness about him, not because of what he's doing for the community and the wider, because he's got one thing on his mind, and it ain't about a dollar. It's about doing everything he possibly can for the club that he loves. And if you ask them, Marcus, man, we ain't got no dough, we can't pay you, he will still pay exactly the same way he does if he's on his £250,000 or £500,000 or whatever they pay him, which I don't think he is, but what do I know? I'm not his agent.
Right.
We go back to getting that in that club, for the arse.
France,
We're going to be having this all the time.
It reminds me of young Tony Adams when he was captain at 21. You know what I mean? He loved the club. He fought for the club.
He cares about.
Yeah.
And when you listen to the conversation between Ian Wright and Dave Rocastle, when David Dean and George Graham accepted the bid for Rocastle to go to Leeds, that young man was gutted. Now, would you believe if you had that conversation with the present squad and go, by the way, guys, we've had an offer from Plymouth. What? Yeah, they're going to pay you $1. Bye. Would they be gutted? Would they cry their eyes out? They'd be out of that fucking door and go, where's my fucking dough, bruv?
But that's a society thing, isn't it? That is very much a societal problem at the moment.
We've had players that love the club and we sold them.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
Wolchak loved the club.
Yeah, exactly. Like, have a look at who in the last few years do you consider that actually has loved the club?
Ramsey.
Carl Jenkinson. Yeah, Ramsey.
Yeah, she never sold him.
Yeah.
But like Chesney loved the club and they just went, nah, don't want you anymore.
I know,
Now,
Ramsey.
The man's first choice for.
He was the bollocks.
Yeah, I love Ramsey.
He was the absolute bollocks. And did that fella want to go? Does he need another £250,000 on top of his wages? I bet he doesn't.
No, he was crying on the pitch, wasn't he? No. They might be letting him go in the summer. We can get him back.
Well, the long and short of it, that's where the mighty Arsenal, the club that we love and buy the merchandise in week in and week out and whatever it is and buy it and as your father does, that's where we're going wrong. And it's always about, I do believe if you listen to the ordinary Joe, and listen to what they say, ordinary Joe lady, without excluding the ladies as well, and listen to what they got to say and go, wow. And we're in a mess at the moment. And maybe the only way to get back to grassroots and start again. We're not going to get relegated, but we're going to go backwards before we go forward.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of talk of basically, like Fran said, just clearing the deck, maybe even pay Ozil off, because all we talk about every match is Ozil, whether he plays good, whether he plays bad, whether he's not in the squad. Even though we're paying him $350,000 a week, he's just a hassle. Maybe it's worth it.
It is always the case, isn't it? If, like, we win.
What Ozil turns up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's Ozil, no matter what. Like I said, we lost 3-0 to Man City, and we've talking about Ozil for probably half of the podcast.
I do feel sorry for Ozil in a tiny respect that it's apparently always his fault. That bit I do feel a little bit sorry for.
But it is his fault if he's not playing well enough.
But he's your highest paid player, and he doesn't play.
I understand that. I understand.
I think we said a while back ago, though, wasn't it?
The team is made out of
Dele Alli, like Hadashik, you wouldn't get treated like that.
11 people. And in the event that the 5 of us are on this and we are in the team, we still got another people. And when I screw up, Jack, you'll help me out. And when he screws up, I'll help you out. That's what teamwork is about. When we're all on our money, boom, we smash the shit out of it.
Yeah.
But some of us are going to go. So in the event we go, hey, Ozil, you twat. Oh, what? What's happened? And you're the highest paid. No, what about you? You may not be, but you know what? You didn't perform today either, Geezer. You weren't that fucking great yourself. So shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that don't happen nowadays, is it?
Old school business. And until we do that, we're going to be having this conversation. You geezers are going to be, I'm going to be dead in the ground, and you geezers will be grandfathers, and you're going to go like that. Remember Franzi? Yeah, who? Oh, yeah, that fella. Yeah, I thought it was Sir Francis Drake or something like that. It'll be over. And you'll still be having the same old shit.
We'll have a statue of you, Franz.
The problem is...
And draw the line in the sand.
Mm.
And you're not able to do that if you're not controlling the club.
The issue is like the club itself. I personally don't think the actual squad is that far away from being decent. But the problem is like, yeah, but if you look at Leno's a good keeper.
Be decent.
Yeah, but Leno's a good keeper. You know, Kieran Tierney and Hector Bellerin are decent fullbacks. You know, you look at the midfield, there are people that want to work in the midfield. The thing is you realistically could buy 3 players and that squad would at least be solid.
But we've been saying that for 10 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You say that, but we've had Arteta, we've had Emery, we've had last stages of Wenger, all having the same players, and they've all played the same.
Yeah.
No, but I think it's the thing of like, so you look at, for example, like the whole thing of 14 or 15 years on, people going, oh, you still haven't replaced Vieira.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't take 15 years to buy a fucking midfielder.
Yes, it does, and it's been proved. It's been proved week in and week out. And it's not just a player. He ain't just a
mentality.
player.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing. And it goes through the club, from the young boys that are collecting the balls to the ladies doing the tea. It goes, and it's been proved. It is taking 15 years to replace him.
We had the perfect guy to replace Patrick Vieira. He was an Arsenal fan, and that was Yaya Toure. He wanted to come to Arsenal.
Yeah.
But we said no, and what happens? He goes to Man City, and look how good he became at Man City.
Yeah, I get that.
No, Diaby was quality, but obviously injuries screwed him over.
Yeah, that was unlucky. Diaby, yeah, that was unlucky.
It always makes me sad.
Yeah, he was.
But
solid.
realistically, you could look into the world and be like, right, let's buy a defensive midfielder. And it's not hard to look around and be like, right, there's a good defensive midfielder. The whole point is there's never a statement of intent by Arsenal. I'm not asking you to go out and spend 200 million every single transfer window on a player. What I'm asking the club to do is, if you have one player that you really want to buy, for example, Deo Upamecano, is right, you need 50 million for that player. Okay, here's 50 million for the player. I'm not asking you to buy a Galacto-style team, but when you need one player and you identify one player, not to go, can't afford that, to go, right, here's your one key player.
I'd argue Pepe was kind of a statement. When you look at
it was, but we didn't need him. We didn't need him.
The problem is with Pepe.
One decent one on the side.
Yeah, but compared to a centre back or a CDM, you could have left the wing. You could have had Nelson. You could have had Saka, Martinelli, Mkhitaryan.
The problem with Arsenal,
they looked at buying him instead of a defender when bought him, and then 2 seconds later, Koscielny's gone. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's true. Go on, Dan.
And then Chambers is dead, Holden's dead. Like, it's just.
I say on about signings and all that, but why would you want to come to Arsenal now? Literally.
Yeah. It'd be Arteta, wouldn't it? Arteta's got to be the only thing. It's a new project.
People, 10, 15 years ago, people came to Arsenal not just because they were winning trophies. They played exciting football. They loved Wenger, everything. Now, what have we got now? We're 7th place in the league. We haven't won a trophy in about 6 years now. We haven't won the league since 2004. Why would they want to come to... I mean, they would rather go Tottenham than us. I mean, how embarrassing is that?
I personally think sentiment in football has died. Like, people don't look... Yeah, the amount of times you see someone going, it's been my dream to play for this team, and then they sign for another team, it's my dream. It's like the whole thing of
and also, it is worth saying that, like, can anyone actually think of, like, that many games this season they've enjoyed watching?
No.
United at home.
That was good. That was really good. That was fun. But one game.
Yeah.
100%.
When we decide to spend 50, 60, 70 million quid on a particular player, and we will go, this geezer is going to be the bollocks. Mm-hmm. Okay, he signs. We're all delighted. Boom. When he arrives in the UK and he settles in, what in the event, being in the UK is like having somebody take his eyes out because this is not for him because he didn't realise. What about that? What about his family cannot settle? It will reflect on the pitch.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know that we can't rely on homegrown, but my viewpoint is that with all the development that the Arse are putting into the development of this and that, are you telling me that in the whole of London that we cannot get a scout out and go, that boy will make it and do the bollocks, like the Rashfords. And while we keep looking overseas and look at that fella over there, and he's going to be the bollocks, when they arrive in the UK, they may go, like, I can't settle here. This is not for me. I'll do my best. I want to do the best for the mighty Arsenal.
That's what we used to do. We used to get the French talent. That's what we used to do, didn't we? That's exactly what we used to do.
Here. And if you struggle as an individual, no matter how much you pay you or me, what about when I go back to this place in St. John's Wood and go, and I don't know anybody and my family can't come in because they can't get a permit? Will that not affect the way this man goes into the club and how he plays? He's not a fucking robot. He's a human being.
Yeah.
But what about the money, putting it back in the grassroots? We know we're going backwards anyway.
Mm-hmm.
We need to go fucking backwards and at least get a youth that's got a crazy name that comes from where it is and he's got a London accent or whatever it happens to be. And guess what? He'll smash that shit out like Marcus Rashford. Because who was he a couple of years ago? Who was he?
Mm-hmm.
He made his debut against Arsenal and scored, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he made a debut in the Europa League, didn't he? And he scored 2, and then he made a league debut against us.
Yeah.
Maybe
With the header against Czech.
persevering and still persevering in that youth because they believe in the community and believe in the youth.
Yeah,
and while
really.
we're flying people from all around the world, is it the way forward? Is it? Think about it another 10 years' time and we're still having the same conversation. It was quite clear that that platform was not the way to go.
Mm-hmm. No, all good points.
And that'll take us another 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
France.
I agree with the concept of obviously going with youth, and 100% you should. But I also think that you have to get the balance, and you have to look at it and go, right, if you're going to bring in, a young centre back, you need to have an experienced centre back next to him. You can't just go, right, let's chuck in 2 18-year-olds at the back and expect them to gel. It's the same with like the midfield. Like yesterday, that midfield just ran. But there was no structure to the midfield. There was just 3 kids who were all 20 years old or less, just running around in circles trying to catch it. There was no structure. There was no one, going to Matteo. I like Matteo Guendouzi, but you can't leave him on his own. You need someone who's got a leash. He is young, but
he's going to learn. Like,
no, but I think
you see him doing his thing, and you don't see him fuck up that much.
But the problem is like
it's usually important.
Yeah, you need someone next to him just to be like, Matteo,
calm the fuck down, mate. Chill.
Yeah, exactly. And like the thing, it's fine having someone like Xhaka, who I think Xhaka is a good leader and a lot of people like him. But the problem is when Matteo goes off and does his thing, Xhaka's not quick enough to cover.
Yeah.
And so
we have gone so far off the topic of the Man City game. It is unbelievable. We were here for the game. We've discussed every single inch of the Arsenal Football Club. It's gone on for quite a while, so we'll leave it here. But we can definitely, we all can talk about Arsenal for hours. I'm sure we can do another one at some point. So I'd like to thank you all for coming on. So thanks, Jack. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Dan and Franz from Club 27. Cheers, guys.
Take it easy, boys. Stay safe. And by the way,